Hey guys, what's going on? It's Eli, back with another review video, and continuing on reviewing Halloweenish films on the weekdays. Yes, that's right guys. The time/moment has finally arrived, as was clearly teased in the last review video. Yeah, and not to mention, this cult following classic is celebrating its anniversary, and it's definitely a biggie/perfect choice to watch around Halloween time, with no doubt, of course. And this being a musical, and if not, this can be, obviously would be considered one of the, best musical masterpieces of horror. I mean, yeah, and the fact that it's a horror/comedy, but also there's some science fiction to this. Yeah. And, nobody could have imagined how this would have turned out. Those in 1975, when first seeing it, how much of a huge impact it would leave off, for sure. Not to mention, the late Princess Diana, it would leave a huge impact on her, and it helped her complete her education, if you know about that story. Yeah. So that's right, guys. I am now finally reviewing, from 1975, the Rocky Horror Picture Show. Yes, the Rocky Horror Picture Show. Oh boy, yeah. I'm glad to have finally have seen this, and, the first thoughts I have to say about this, and after having watched it, I said to myself, and I say to you too, what in the hell did I just watch? And I don't mean that in a bad way, okay? And pardon my French, but it's true, and it does sum it up pretty good. Yeah, even my dad thought so too, but yeah. It's true. I mean, when you first watch it, you're just, just mind-blowing with all that happens. However, and shout out to my bro Tiki from So You Want to Be an Imagineer, because he being a big-time Rocky Horror Picture Show guy, he had the experience, he's had the experience, and I'm sure the same would go for you. Anybody like Tiki, having the experience of seeing the Rocky Horror Picture Show at a screening and, these performers and such, if you know what I'm talking about, just, yeah, that is the proper experience in order to watch this movie. Yeah. But, I mean, no problem watching it at home like I did, just, yeah. Now, and yeah, with the first things I have to say about Rocky Horror Picture, well, for a long time, I've known about this movie. I've listened to a few songs, most notably the Time Warp and Tim Curry song, you know which one. So those were the only two songs I had listened to, which I had come to really enjoy, especially Time Warp. How can you not enjoy a song like Time Warp? Seriously. And I've known about the cast members and all that, but I didn't know that much. In fact, I didn't know anything about, didn't really know that much about the whole thing of aliens, but until I talk about that some more when I talk about the movie itself, breaking it down. But with having finally watched it in all of its glory from beginning to end, again, what in the hell did I just watch? Again, not that I'm saying it in a negative way, okay? Just, you get what I'm saying. Yeah, I mean, just overall, there's no denying, of course, for me, that, how much of a huge impact this one horror/comedy musical left off back in 1975, and just, over the years, and still to this day, still how much of a huge impact it leaves off, and with, fans keep growing, new generation of fans never ceases to fail, just, yeah. And, other times where the Rocky Horror Picture Show, it would have other, materials, being on stage, of course. Even the one with Victoria Justice, Ben Vereen, and Tim Curry, who came back for that, if you know which one I'm talking about. Yeah, that's another story. That didn't do good, as I know, but anyways. But yeah, just from the songs, what goes down in the storyline, great cast of talents, which I'll mention in a moment. Yeah, and moments that you don't expect at first, and you didn't see coming, overall. The Rocky Horror Picture Show, a true horror/comedy masterpiece, without a doubt, of course, yeah. Alright, so, now with the first things I've had to say about the Rocky Horror Picture Show now out of the way, now, as always, for me, read the description / the story. In this cult classic, sweethearts Brad and Janet, stuck with a flat tire during a storm, discover the eerie mansion of Dr. Frank Furter. Yeah. A transvestite scientist, as their innocence is lost. Yeah, unfortunately. Brad and Janet meet a house full of wild characters, including a rocking biker and a creepy butler, though elaborate dancers and rock songs. Frank-N-Furter unveils his latest creation, a muscular man named Rocky, and hence the name Rocky in the title of the movie. Okay, so now, with reading the description / the story out of the way, let us now dive in / break down the film itself. Shall we? If you dare. Enter if you dare, as that sign said at the gate entrance to the mansion. But okay, the castle / mansion. Okay, so with the opening to the movie and one of the first song numbers we get, because science fiction / double feature, because the film opens with a musical number sung by a pair of lips, and it introduced the audiences to the story of the B movie style of the film. And yeah, because that being a big thing for this movie, that it's in the style of a B movie. And, well, that's another thing. This would, if not be considered the best B movie ever, the 1970s, and in the genre of horror, but with the mixture of comedy. Yeah. And with musical as well. Yeah. All three combined. So, so the first song that starts off, science fiction, double feature, what a great way to start off the film, of course. And with the cast that shows on the, in the opening of this movie. And after all that, well, we then get the introduction of our narrator, for this movie, the criminologist, I think, I said that right, who's an expert, being played by Charles Gray. He tells us the story and what is to be happening all throughout this movie and such, and by mentioning, of course, from, Janet and Brad and their friend who's a doctor, to go ahead and mention him, Dr. Everett V. Scott, but until we talk about him some more, so then we cut to where we see Brad and Janet. They're at, I presume a friend's wedding, and, when the bride tosses the bouquet, Janet catches it, so, maybe Janet and Brad are the next in line to get married. Well, we shall see. And if you notice even at the start, something off about those that are at the wedding. And to go ahead and mention this, a few of the guests that were at this wedding would actually be those that we would see at the castle / mansion. Yet, like most prominently, Richard O'Brien's character being there, and supposedly Tim Curry being there as well. And then one of the next song numbers we get is Damn It, Janet. Now, because with the song numbers themselves, because they're all great, and when I watched this movie, this was the first time I had fully listened to all of these songs, besides Time Warp and the one after that Tim Curry sings, but until we get to those. So, Damn It, Janet is a pretty good one, and with Barry being played by Barry Bostwick, and Janet being played by the lovely, talented Susan Sarandon. Both Barry and Susan, they were fantastic in this movie, and the chemistry that their characters have, being in love, and, it doesn't take too long for Brad to pop the question. He had an engagement ring, and just overall, Damn It, Janet's a pretty good song. And can't forget to mention this, Richard O'Brien, who I'm gonna get to and with his character momentarily. Richard O'Brien, he has a huge part of this movie, not just for his character, but he's one of those that's responsible for bringing Rocky Horror Picture to life, being one of the writers and responsible for the songs. Well, yeah, because he wrote all the songs, so yeah, nice to see. And besides, Richard O'Brien, being a big-time musical guy, in fact, I recall, and if you know this too, he, for a while, played the child catcher in the Broadway version of Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. I have seen those images where he's there alongside with the late Robert B. Sherman, and let's not forget to mention, of course, that we know him best as of now as the voice of Phineas and Ferb's father. Well, he's Ferb's father, but, he's also Phineas's dad, but stepfather. So, yeah, I recall that, and shout out to my mom, because, she's into Rocky Horror as well. She found it so hilarious when, for the first time, she discovered that Richard O'Brien from the Rocky Horror Picture Show is the voice of Phineas and Ferb's dad. And I'm sure the same would go for any of you. You'd just be surprised, like, oh my gosh, it's him? Yeah, he's great. He's great in Phineas and Ferb, and, but again, until I talk more about Richard O'Brien, and when I get to his character, oh yes. Okay, but moving right along, because, well, what would happen next, and yeah, after Damn It, Janet and they both get engaged, well, and with the narrator continuing to narrate at times, both Brad and Janet, they get into a car trouble. Yeah, Brad and Janet now, the wholesome couple, yeah, they get a flat tire in the rain and seek refuge, and when, yeah, they passed by this and they go back to it, yeah, they get refuge in a mysterious castle, and which serves as the gateway to a world of queer descendants and sexual libertation. Yep. And man, because what Brad and Janet would get themselves into would be something they wouldn't forget, and as the narrator specifically would say. And that would go for all of us, what we are about to witness in this movie. And not to mention that they did see a couple of motorcycles pass by, and before they got a flat tire. And, because when going to this mysterious castle, hopefully that the mysterious castle has a phone that they can use. And, one of the next songs that they sing is, over at the Frankenstein Palace. It has to do with the light and all that. And, yeah, that was another pretty good song. And, well, when they would make their way up to the castle, they are greeted by Richard O'Brien himself as Riff Raff. Yeah. Riff Raff, who's one of the servants of the castle. And, he is known as the handyman. Yep. He answers and lets them come in, and they are also greeted by Riff Raff's sister, Magenta, a domestic. Yeah, being played by Patricia Queen. And, yeah, she's dressed as a maid and such. And there's a party happening in the castle. And then we come to our next song number, which, of course, being one of the top, best songs of this movie and one of my personal favorites, Time Warp. Yeah, so catchy and just, and it feels like that this would be a song that's like a grand finale song, right? And technically it is at the end of the movie, but until we get to the ending, yeah. And, to go ahead and name them, because, yeah, all the Transylvanians that are present at the castle, there's a lot of them. I don't think I'm going to be able to name all of them and just, because of time, but yeah, if it matters. But anyways, so all of them being credited as a Transylvanian. We have Christopher Biggins, Gay Brown, Ishak Buck, Stephen Calcutt, Hugh Cecil, Emonin Claire, Tony Cowan, Sadie Corey, Fran Fullenwider, if I got that right. And I'm more than likely going to butcher some of their names, but you know me sometimes. Lindsay Ingram, Peggy Ledger, Annabelle Levinton, Anthony Milner, Pamela Aubenmeyer, Tony Then, literally his last name's Then, Kimmy Wong, and Henry Wolf. Okay, I named them all. Great. I could have sworn that one of them, to me, looked like What's-Him-Face, who played Mr. Strickland in Back to the Future. I swear, it looked like him. He was one of them, but no, I mean, I would know if he would be credited. I've seen what his IMDb page profile looks like, and nope, he wasn't in this movie, so yeah. And if you had that same feeling too, where you're like, wait, is that Mr. Strickland? Because it looks like him. We have a bald guy there, one of the Transylvanians, and those who are the dancers. Just, oh well. Anyways, and we also have a part of the Transylvanians. She's a groupie, and that being Columbia, being played by Nell Campbell. Yep, and her singing as well, the Time Warp. And yeah, just overall, the Time Warp song is without a doubt a fantastic song number with, how it's performed and with the music, just, yeah, everything to it. Even the storyteller, he joins in as well, because, it's just a jump to the left, put your hands on your hip, just, I love that. Anyways, but yeah, and after that, and the music just go, yeah, then they all collapse on the floor, but then someone else steps in, the man of the castle, who is in charge, and he's the master of the castle, basically, and, yep, it doesn't take too long for him to do the next song number, which, of course, being... because it's literally right after Time Warp, and that being Sweet Transvestite, from, transsexual Transylvania, ha ha. And yep, we of course get the introduction of Dr. Frankenfurter, a scientist, being played by the legend himself, Tim Curry. Yes, and fun fact, this was Tim Curry's feature film debut. No joke, yeah. It's obvious. This is what would make him a big name, and for years to come, just, yeah. And not to mention that Ridley Scott, whom, having seen Rocky Horror Picture, would be inspired to cast Tim Curry as the Lord of Darkness in his movie Legend in 1985. I'm sure maybe you know this. And because I mentioned Princess Diana earlier at the start of this review, because, yeah, she met Tim Curry at one point and mentioned to Tim Curry that, she thanks him and the movie for completing her education. So, yeah, that's great to see. So yeah, that must have been something for Tim Curry to get a compliment from Princess Diana. And that it completed her education? Yeah, that's something. Good for him. Yeah, and just what can you say about Tim Curry? This being his theatrical debut as the main antagonist of this movie. Well, of course, he doesn't disappoint. The character of Dr. Frank N. Furter. I'll slow down. And how his name is said. Yeah, he's quite something. He pretty is. I don't know, because, wouldn't you think he'd be, a queen of drag or something, transvestite, if you get where I'm going with that, just, yeah, in a movie, I guess, but, yeah, definitely. Yeah, just, the first song number that Dr. Frank gets, Sweet Transvestite, of course, it's another fantastic song number being sung and performed by Tim Curry and the others that join in, and when Brad and Janet, they are in a hurry to proceed on their destination to answer and use and answer the phone in order to fix up their flat tire and so on. But of course, yeah, that doesn't happen anytime soon. And what would happen next is Dr. Frank would invite both of them up to his laboratory upstairs, and he took the elevator shaft, and yeah, after the song is finished, he would take the elevator once again, and so on. And what Dr. Frank is cooking up in his laboratory, well, basically, the eccentric and transvestite mad scientist himself, he unveils his latest creation, a beautiful, blonde, muscular man he names Rocky. Yes, again, Hence the name in the title of the movie, Rocky, because, yep, we get Rocky himself. And Rocky, whom is, yeah, a creation of Dr. Frank, Dr. Franks, I should say. Yeah, Rocky Horror, that's his last name, being played by Peter Hinwood. If I said Hindwood, I think it's Hindwood, yeah. Yeah, because literally the next song numbers we get up in the laboratory, because, yeah, we get, say, a song number from Rocky Horror himself, like, you know, and as well as Dr. Frank singing as well, yeah. The Sword of Demolix, if I pronounced that right, and I Can Make You a Man. Yeah, because Dr. Frank is telling his creation that he can make Rocky Horror a man, and really, because, yeah, things getting quite sexual, and for Dr. Frank just trying to make a move on his creation. But even after that song number is finished, and yeah, those two songs that I just mentioned, The Sword of Demolis, I know I'm mispronouncing it, but you know what it is, what I'm talking about, and I Can Make You Man, they were some other pretty good song numbers, and what would come next, and, you know, this would probably be another one of my favorites to come from Rocky Horror Picture, besides Time Warp and Sweet Transvestite. Hot Patootie, Bless My Soul, being performed by Meatloaf. Yes, Meatloaf, who is in this movie, he plays Eddie, and he's a rebel in the castle. And yeah, and he's an ex-delivery boy, as he's credited as well. Yeah, all these characters in Rocky Horror, the descriptions of what they are, just, yeah, brilliant. And of course, that being on its IMDb page, rightfully so. Yeah, and Meatloaf, his performance as Eddie, just for that one sequence and for that song number alone, well, I mean, of course, knowing Meatloaf, talented guy, and with what he brought to the performance of Eddie, the fact that Eddie had been stuffed in a freeze locker, yeah, and he would come out of his motorcycle, cranking up the place. Not to mention that Columbia has attractions for Eddie, and Dr. Frank is not pleased with Eddie's presence. But, I mean, just, yeah, overall, the song number of Eddie's, Hot Patootie, Bless My Soul, is pretty catchy, pretty good. Another pretty good song that I enjoyed. Well, after that, Dr. Frank then charges at Eddie, and he flat out kills Eddie. In front of everybody, just, yeah, and we don't even really get a reaction from Brad and Janet. How they feel about what just happened. Dr. Frank killing Eddie, cold-blooded, just, yeah. And it would turn out that that doctor friend of Brad and Janet's, Dr. Everett V. Scott, well, he would show up a little while in this movie, and he's in search of Eddie for a good specific reason, but until I mention that a little later. But yeah. So after that, after all that has happened, and when once again Dr. Frank would once again sing the remainings of I Can Make You a Man, and literally because they have a private moment with each other, yeah, closing the curtains, they make their way to the bed, and yeah. Anyways, and then after that, well, and to speed things up some, because Brad and Janet, they would be shown to their guest rooms, and they would be separated from one another. And when at one point, starting with Janet, the doctor would make a move on Janet. He disguised himself as Brad at one point, but then revealing himself to be himself. And, well, unfortunately, it didn't take too long for Dr. Frank to get the temptation into Janet, and Janet just going along with it. Ugh, what were you thinking, Janet? God, you couldn't fight it. Just, yeah. You were aware, I'm sure, like, yeah, Janet, you were aware of what was happening and just didn't seem right. It just consumed you. Yeah. Then, the same thing would happen to Brad. Dr. Frank making a move on Brad. Yeah. Then there's a moment where Riff Raff and Magenta, they mess around with Rocky, just, kind of tormenting him and such, and they let him loose. intentionally, obviously. And when it came to Dr. Frank making a move on Brad, Riff Raff informed that Rocky Horror is let loose, and by this point they let the dogs out to go after Rocky Horror. And Dr. Frank, he'll be there in a moment, but after he's finished with his business with Brad. And then at one point Janet would discover, and checking the monitors, that, Brad had slept with Dr. Frank. And then Janet would discover Rocky Horror, who's in that water tank where he was first in and all that bandaging when he was created. And just notices that, Rocky Horror is in bad shape, because with the marks and such he has, after having run away, and I'm assuming that, he got attacked by the dogs. And then things get quite steamy again, this time with Janet and Rocky Horror. I think if was it not obvious that maybe it was bound to happen? Because I think a little bit of it was teased early on, where, because Frank wanted to get the opinions of Janet and Brad on what they thought of what he created, the blonde, muscular man Rocky Horror. And Janet commenting, saying that she's not a fan of men with muscles. And Dr. Frank, his response is, I didn't create him for you. But when it would come to Janet comforting Rocky Horror after the shit that Rocky Horror went through, well, again, things get steamy. And we come to our next song number, Toucha Me, yeah. I mean, great performance and singing from everyone that's involved in this song number, and Janet's flat out sleeping with Rocky Horror. And we visually see on top of Janet from, say, Dr. Frank, Brad, and, of course, Rocky, but also we see Columbia and Riff Raff and Magenta as well. Yeah. Not to mention Magenta and Columbia. They're watching this on the monitor as well, watching what Janet and Rocky and Horror are doing. Yeah. Then after that, well, let's come to the doctor himself, Dr. Everett. Yeah. Because, again, being friends with Brad and Janet, and, well, Dr. Frank is well aware and knows who Dr. Everett is. And Dr. Frank, thinking that Dr. Everett is aware of the presence of Brad and Janet having stumbled upon the castle. But no, because Brad made that very clear. And when Dr. Everett would come face to face with Dr. Frank, he tells Dr. Frank that, Brad and Janet's presence in the castle is a surprise to him. And Dr. Everett V. Scott, a rival scientist. Yeah, he's a rival scientist with, obviously competing with Dr. Frank, being played by Jonathan Adams. Yeah, Jonathan Adams, he was fantastic in this. And Dr. Everett being disabled. Yeah, he's in a wheelchair. So Dr. Everett having come up to the castle, and he's brought in, because getting his wheelchair to work and to go around the castle, even passing by Columbia and Magenta. And I didn't talk about Columbia and Magenta that much, because, they were other great characters in this movie, with the performances that Patricia Quinn and Nell Campbell brought to those two characters. Fantastic, of course, But with Dr. Everett V. Scott coming face-to-face with Dr. Frank, and Dr. Everett being well aware of Dr. Frank, of course, And, Dr. Everett, and as I mentioned this earlier, because he's in search of Eddie, because Eddie is Dr. Everett's nephew. Dr. Everett is the uncle of Eddie, but, little does Dr. Everett know that Dr. Frank killed his nephew. Obviously, he's going to find out eventually. But, and still to speed things up some, eventually, Dr. Frank, Riff Raff, Dr. Frank, Dr. Everett, Riff Raff, and Brad, they would all go up to where the laboratory is, and they would soon discover that, Janet and Rocky, they slept together. And each of them just saying, Dr. Everett, Janet, Rocky, Brad. A couple of times, that was funny. That that was, that was awkward and such, but, yeah. And then Magenta rings the gong. Dinner has been served, and yep, they all get together dining and such. Not to mention that today is Rocky's birthday. Yeah, literally the day he was given birth to. Yeah, he was created and such. And it's cut short, them singing happy birthday. And Dr. Everett, he has a song number of his where, it's basically titled Eddie. It's all about Eddie and Dr. Everett talking about Eddie. And with the mentionings that Eddie, he started getting into, say, rock and roll porn and everything about motorbikes and such. And, with Eddie having been a part of the castle and such, but and as we all know, he would become a rebel and, not following the ways of the transvestites and under the leadership of Dr. Frank. And after all that, and Dr. Frank growing in fury, he whips off the cloth, on the table, the dining room table, revealing that inside of that table is the remains of Eddie. They were eating Eddie! God, that is crazy. And with that reveal, and what was on their dinner plates, was some of Eddie's body parts. Jeez. Then everybody goes crazy. All hell breaks loose. Everyone making a run for it. Janet running, Frank chasing after her, while Brad and Everett, they catch up to them and such, and at one point they get on the elevator. And then it would lead to, with the next song number, right after Eddie and when everybody is going crazy and running through the castle, Planet Schmanet. Janet. Yep. That was a pretty, another pretty good song in this. And, because with all of them singing, and then when it would lead to Janet, Brad, and Dr. Everett being stuck like glue. And this has to do with the sonic transducer. Yeah, I think I've said that right. And it's and I have a description of it. It's a scientific device in Dr. Frankenfurter's laboratory. And it's described as an audio vibratory, physio-molecular transport device capable of breaking down and projecting matter. And, Dr. Everett describes it, describing it, he does describe it as a sonic transducer. And, with the rest that Dr. Everett explains and describes about this scientific talk, Dr. Frankenfurter found a way to make this sonic transducer, work really well. And he for sure found a way. So now we have our three characters, Janet, Brad, and the Doctor, trapped. And at one point, he has Magenta pull down some switches by turning them into statues. Then the same would happen to Columbia, when by this point Columbia, she's had enough of Dr. Frank and the fact that, she killed whom she loved, which being Eddie. So she too gets turned into a statue. Then there's a little moment between Dr. Frank's servants, which it seems like they too are through with serving Dr. Frank. And by this point, Dr. Frank would reveal this, and it's the first time we, the audience, discover this, that, Magenta and Riff Raff are brother and sister. But there's more to them that we don't know exactly quite just yet. Everybody that resides in the castle, besides, Brad, Eddie, Janet, and the Doctor. Dr. Everett, that is. Then what would happen next is the statues of Columbia, Brad and Janet and Everett, and also Rocky Horror, he too got turned into a statue as well, after, technically betraying his creator, Dr. Frank. He too got turned into a statue. From Rocky Horror, Columbia, Janet, and Brad, they're brought onto this stage where Dr. Frank is about to put on a show, and that's when we come into our next song number, which being Fanfare / Don't Dream It. And he dressed up the statued versions of all four of them. Janet, Brad, Columbia and Rocky Horror, in drag and so on. And that was one crazy song number. Not to mention when the curtains open, we get RKO Pictures. Does anybody remember that? Yeah, that was interesting. And yeah, because then when, say, Dr. Frank, he then starts to sing, and then he jumps in this pool and has the others jump in and enjoy and just have them do pleasure, and Jesus. And then I'm just saying, because, like, geez Louise, that's crazy. Not what you would expect the first time you'd watch it. Am I right? All right, anyways. And as for Dr. Everett, well, I mean, he seems to be doing okay, but until, yeah, he sees his disabled legs having drag to them, you know, and high-heeled shoes, and he's, like, caressing his legs. Just, but all of that comes to an end when Riff Raff and Magenta, they step in and they try to take down Dr. Frank once and for all. And it's revealed that everyone in the castle, especially Riff Raff and Magenta, they're aliens. They come from the planet Transvestite, from the galaxy Transylvania. Interesting twist, and yeah, you didn't see it coming, I guess. And yeah, because, like, they're going to disembark planet Earth, and, you know, it was mentioned a few times about Earth and humans and stuff like that, with what they specifically said, and that just kind of left you wondering, like, what's that all about with what they've mentioned? Huh. But as we now know, because we're up to, and yeah, they're going to take down Dr. Frank, but then Dr. Frank has one more song number of his, you know, saying goodbye and all of that, yeah. Wild and Untamed Thing, yeah, because it was performed by both Tim Curry and Richard O'Brien. And, well, yeah, and I'm Going Home, I'm sorry, yeah, well, there's that, and I'm Going Home, that's performed by Tim Curry, yeah, because where he's, you know, saying goodbye and so on, just, yeah. And after that, and even when, like, say there's a moment where Columbia, she gets shot and taken down with the laser weapon that Riff Raff has, specifically. And then when, yeah, Frank is trying to make a run for it, trying to climb the curtains, yeah, he gets taken down. Even Rocky Horror, he actually at one point saves and tries to, you know, save the lifeless body of Dr. Frank, climbing up like, say, King Kong. And, yeah, when the radio tower of RKO Pictures, you know, tips over, and Rocky Horror lets out the Tarzan yell, as it showed in the subtitles when I watched it, yeah, he too gets killed as well. So, yeah, from Columbia to Dr. Frank and Rocky Horror, all three of them are taken down, especially the main antagonist himself, Dr. Frank-N-Furter. Yep. And after that, well, Riff Raff and Magenta, they tell Brad, Janet, and Dr. Everett that they are free to go, and thus they will disembark, blast off into outer space back to their galaxy, into the planet Transvestite, and so on. So they're free to go, and Riff Raff and Magenta, they get one last song number where, yeah, we get the reprised version of Time Warp, just a little snippet of it. And, yep. We see the castle blasting off like a rocket ship, and the last we see of Janet, Brad, and Everett, they're just left there, just rolling around in the pile of dirt, and they did have another song number as well, you know, because, Superheroes, yeah. That was, yeah, another pretty good song, but yeah. Then after that, we then come back to the narrator himself, yeah, because all that he's got left to say about what we have just seen, and yeah, again, being the criminologist, yeah, with what all he's got left to say as the narrator, and we see the globe, and yeah, science fiction and so on, just just like what a heck of a way to end off that movie, and yeah, because you know, because Don't Dream It, Be It, and, yeah, I was just, you know, looking at the rest of, but anyways, alright, but just, yeah, the way that movie ends off, and we once again hear, the song, the reprised version of Science Fiction / Double Feature, and as the credits roll, we get the cast, the cast of the movie, images of them in the movie. Yeah, jeez, like, pardon my French, but it's true, what a hell of a way to end off this movie, without a doubt. Just, yeah, the Rocky Horror Picture Show. It's unlike anything that anybody would see for the first time ever. Yeah, because definitely it's not what you would expect the very first time you would be watching this. Then, yep, that goes for me. Yep, because again, as I said, what in the hell did I just watch? But not in a bad way, as I said. Just everything about the Rocky Horror Picture Show, from beginning to end, so memorable. A classic from the 1970s, and yeah, this being a cult classic with no doubt, and how much of a huge fan base it has, and still to this day, the impact it leaves off, new generation of fans, need I go on. The storyline, the cast of characters, great talents from Barry Bostwick, Susan Sarandon, Tim Curry, Charles Gray, Richard O'Brien, I had to name the others because, Nell Campbell and Meatloaf, Patricia Quinn, Trevor White, the list goes on, and Jonathan Adams, the list goes on. Everybody was fantastic in this movie with the performances they brought, their singing, and each of these characters, their personalities. The songs, they were fantastic as well. We all have our favorite songs from Rocky Horror. And yeah, as I said, mine would have to be Time Warp and Sweet Transvestite, because Tim Curry's singing, come on. And, it's pretty good with how he sings it. And, like I said earlier, I think that, another one of my favorites would also have to be Hot Patootie, Bless My Soul. That was another pretty good, well-sung song. Yeah, so from the songs, moments you don't see coming, the intensity, the climax, the scary moments, the shocking moments, the twist reveal that all of the transvestites, they're aliens from outer space, and what more do I really have to say? The Rocky Horror Picture Show is without a doubt a cult classic from the 1970s, a true movie masterpiece, being a horror / comedy / musical, all combined. All of the above, And I'm giving the Rocky Horror Picture Show, well, why not? 10 out of 10 stars, yes. 10 out of 10 stars for the Rocky Horror Picture Show. And what about you guys? What did you think of the Rocky Horror Picture Show itself? What was your first impression of the film itself? The very first time, like me, you watched it. Probably in that same territory as me, and with what I had to say, best sums it up. What in the hell did I just watch? Do you have any favorite songs? Have you had that experience, seeing Rocky and the Rocky Horror Picture Show with fans and this screening? You know what I'm talking about. Yeah, if you've had that experience, let me know. And if it went pretty well for you, I'd like to know. If you did okay and handled that kind of stuff, and favorite moments and favorite characters, favorite performances, from, again, Barry Bostwick, Susan Sarandon, Tim Curry, Richard O'Brien, the list goes on, moments you didn't see coming and you were surprised the very first time, oh my gosh, but overall, and if it's one of your top favorite horror / comedy / musicals, as I was about to say, overall, what do you think of the Rocky Horror Picture Show itself, with what all I've had to say, my review, and what did you think of my review? Leave comments and give this review video a like, as always. And so, guys, with all that being said, thank you very much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed my review of the Rocky Horror Picture Show. More review videos are coming your way. They're going to be awesome. Keep looking forward, and I will see you guys in the next video. review. And of course, continuing on reviewing more Halloweenish films on the weekdays, stay tuned because what I will be reviewing next, well, let's just say Frank Langella plays the titled character himself. You know, Prince of the Night, you know, the most iconic vampire. Yeah, you know exactly what I'm talking about, and because I mentioned Frank Langella. Yeah, just stay tuned for that. Take care, happy anniversary to the Rocky Horror Picture Show, and peace out. Let's do the time warp again.